What's up, people? I'm Shaggy, the Opinionated Hippie, continuing and almost finishing my deep dive into Bob Dylan and the band's 1974 complete recordings, every available show they had from the 1974 tour with Dylan and the band, their first time touring in 8 years. When I started this box set was full of discs, and now we are almost to the very end. It has been fun to pull these out. I don't know, they're upside down. I don't know which way this is supposed to go. It flips it for me. But I got to pull out two more today as we almost reach the end. Two shows from Oakland, California, the afternoon show on February 11th and the evening show on the same date. Going through this box set, this is discs 22 and 23 of these shows, in which, for the most part, the set lists are remarkably similar. Once the tour got underway, we eventually had the same opening, 8 songs to kick 9 songs electric. We had a pretty firm set of acoustic songs with 1 or 2 acoustic songs coming in. And then the end of the show, we had this set run of electric songs to close out, again with 1 or 2 songs popping up. But my experience a lot of the time was, do I need to hear all of these shows? I would hear shows and be like, okay, yeah, like they sound great. If I'd been at this show and not heard 19 other ones, I would have had a great time. But if I had heard those 19 other ones and had something to compare them to, why am I watching this? One of these shows evokes that feeling. Like, okay, I don't need to hear this again. Maybe I could have just been a curated box set with the 10 best shows. That still would have made me happy. But then the other one is the exact opposite. I'm like, oh my goodness, it's like I'm hearing these songs for the first time. Wow, I'm glad they released every show because I get to find these little gems and nuggets that are like deep, deep, deep into the tour that maybe they would not have picked, especially because the one that I really, really like is an incomplete show. 2 shows, I'm just going to rank them from 2 to 1, and then I will rank these among the other 20 that I've already done. So out of these, the one I think is the least interesting of the 2 shows is the one that is, for the most part, complete. That's the evening show. This really is your typical, what has become late tour, Dylan yelling, Dylan over aggressive. Dylan decided the best way to connect to the audience is just to be loud and aggressive and to yell, and there's not a lot of nuance. It's not a bad show, but I'm trying to, pick nits and differentiate these shows from one another. And that's the thing. It's very Dylan, not with a lot of nuance, just kind of yelling his vocals. The mix is not that good. It's probably one of the poorer sounding shows. But Garth Hudson is super, 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 super high in the mix. You get to hear Hudson in a way you don't get to hear Hudson on all of the other releases, which is another fascinating thing about having, what is this going to be, 27 discs by the time we're done, is that for some reason, even though we have 2 shows from the same venue, one of them is incredible sound, the one I'm not talking about now. The other one is muddy, it just seems like everybody's compressed down low and just except for Hudson, who's just fantastic. Robbie Robertson has moments, especially like the opening of Lay Lady Lay, the songs where he's kind of featured. Every once in a while, he'll be higher in the mix when he needs to be. But for the most part, this is like the Hudson mix, which makes it interesting, which makes it compelling. But after a while, it would be nice to have Hudson in a mix in which the overall mix is more balanced. He's just there instead of this like flat, muddied mix below, and then Hudson just hey, I'm up here on top. So that's a weird little vibe. Other than that, it's your pretty much tear through the show. I really think it's not until about Ballad of a Thin Man with a really nice piano opening that seems to take a little bit longer than some of the others to just develop, and before Dylan's decided, hey, we're ready to play the song. The first 5 songs just seem like bam, 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 bam. We're almost near the end of the tour. Let's get these out of the way. Let's perform. High energy, but at the same time, not a lot of like nuance or thought. Most likely Lay Lady, Tom Thumb's Blues, Rainy Day, and It Ain't Me, Babe. The Tom Thumb's Blues, maybe, I think, one of my favorite of every show. This is one of my least. This one just seems like, not really sure what they were going for. It's just kind of there. The Rainy Day Women does have new opening verse They're going to stone you when you take a bath. They're going to stone you when you walk a path. Yeah, glad those didn't stick around. I think they're going to stone you when you're on a train. It's almost Dr. Seuss-ish at this point. I'm thinking I might, man, I can't have my kindergarten class sing "They're Gonna Stone You." What would they do to you? Because I might have my kids write a version and we've been working on rhyming words. So let's do a bunch of rhyming words. Dylan did it. So that's interesting. And then, but it's a pretty good version of Rainy Day Women. Pretty straightforward. Another one of the highlights that here, I think it's good, but just seems rushed. Once we get to Ballad of a Thin Man themes, there seems to be a little more focus in the band, a little more like coherent energy. Maybe the mix starts to like clean out a little bit. Ballad of a Thin Man, All Along the Watchtower is good. Ballad of Hollis Brown. Ballad of Hollis Brown, good. We're starting to lose a little bit of our aggression here. We're starting to lose a little bit of that nastiness as we go on towards the end. Same with here. Knocking on Heaven's Door. The acoustic set, by this point, it's like Dylan is really just kind of rushing through these. Pace is picking up on the songs. We've heard nothing new in this acoustic set that we don't have in other shows. The Times Are Changing, Just Like a Woman, Gates of Eden, Don't Think Twice, which is kind of cuts at the end or cuts at the beginning. We're missing a little bit. It says incomplete, but we're not missing much. And then It's All Right, Mom, Only Bleeding. And then we get one treat for the closing electric set. We get a Forever Young, a Highway 61 revisited that starts late, Like a Rolling Stone, and then we get a Maggie's Farm thrown in there instead of a reprise or not a reprise because they're literally just playing the entire song again. Instead of playing Most Likely You'll Go Your Way again as he was doing, we get a Maggie's Farm, which we haven't gotten since way back on disc. It's like disc 1 or 2, right? Disc 3 or 4. Since the last time we got a Maggie's Farm was there, maybe disc 2, the last Maggie's Farm we got. But yeah, we got Maggie's Farm on disc 2. I love Maggie's Farm. I think if there's one song over the decades that live is always fascinating, it's what Dylan does with Maggie's Farm. This might be my least favorite version, least favorite arrangement. Maybe not this performance in particular, but the way this band approached it. Still good. Love to hear it. But out of all the Maggie's Farms, I think this one is the more straightforward of them all. Though Levon, the drumming on this is ridiculous. Yeah, the drumming, Levon Helm's drumming is fantastic always, but during the Maggie's Farm, it really, 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 really stands out. And then we get a Blowin' in the Wind electric to close out. I don't think I'm sold on this. I don't think I like it. I think I would rather have Blowin' in the Wind as an acoustic song, to be honest with you. See what he does with it. I don't know. Something about it, but the full electric to close out doesn't really work for me. I think it just it's just too, I don't know. Something doesn't connect with me, I've decided after all these. But that's the first show. Not one I'm super excited to go back and listen to be honest, when I finish this. Interesting. And then we have the afternoon show. The show earlier, which is, the sound is absolutely fantastic. And that may be one of the reasons why, like, I'm listening to this, I'm like, oh my goodness, like, I feel like I'm hearing these songs for the first time. I feel like the energy from the band is fantastic. The sound is fantastic. Dylan's singing, I think, is fantastic. It sounds like he's having a lot of fun. There's a lot of, like, snarky little attitude, it seems, in the way he's delivering some of the lyrics. And then particularly the Lonesome Death of Hattie Carroll. We get a really nice acoustic song. We get a She Belongs to Me and a Lonesome Death. The Lonesome Death of Hattie Carroll is fantastic, and his harmonica solo in there, he does this breakdown thing with his guitar where like he's soloing and then he stops playing on guitar and then he kind of, there's almost this like call and response between himself and himself that is just out of nowhere, like absolutely fantastic. His harmonica solos in the acoustic sets have been great, but they've usually been almost like he's shredding on the harmonica. The Don't Think Twice in particular, I think that's it, or maybe it's the Just Like a Woman. One of those I think it's the Don't Think Twice, have just had these shredding harmonica solos in which he's going off. This one is a lot more playful and dynamic, and he's shredding while like doing like almost like breakdowns with his guitar. Really, really neat Lonesome Death. Also, this one starts, we're missing the first 6 songs. So we don't have Most Likely through Ballad of a Thin Man. It starts with All Along the Watchtower, which is a great opening song. It would have been a great song to open the tour with, to open a show with. It just works great, and the energy is good. It sounds great. So we get All Along the Watchtower. We get a Ballad of Hollis Brown, which is lean and mean, some great squiggly Robbie guitar on here. Definitely it's not as nasty as some of the earlier versions, but the sound on this kind of highlights sort of the leanness of the band, and there's a little bit of a mean energy in this, which I think works well with Ballad of Hollis Brown lyrics. Knocking on Heaven's Door just sounds beautiful. Absolutely sounds great. It works as the third song on the disc. Just it works. Once Dylan starts singing, I'm like, okay. Same with this and Forever Young. The band comes in so confident and the music is great. And Dylan is still end of the tour Dylan. And so it's like, okay, he's still here. But it's still a good performance. Then for the acoustic stuff, we get a great She Belongs to Me. Always welcome. The Times They Are Changing. That really awesome Lonesome Death of Hattie Carroll. Don't Think Twice, It's All Right. Wedding Song, which just sounds rushed at this point. Doesn't quite have the stately beauty as it did earlier in the tour. And I do believe this is the last wedding song. He definitely doesn't play it the following night, and I don't think he plays it in LA. Or at least, I don't think he plays it in LA. Then we get the closing electric set. Forever Young sounds great. Musically, just absolutely sounds fantastic. Highway 61 Revisited. Maybe, it's in the top 5 of songs, like, of this entire tour. Highway 61, one of the highlights over and over. Maybe, like, the number one, even though it sadly was not played the whole tour. Up there also would be, as of the electric stuff, the Tom Thumbs is always up there. The ballads are always up there. Thin Man and Hollis Brown. Highway 61. I thought the Rainy Day Women was always fantastic when that started being a part of the regular thing. And this is also just another amazing Highway 61. Levon is fantastic. Dylan's vocals, he's having a lot of fun. Great, bouncy, rollicking, going down the road in like a jalopy that's kind of bouncing in potholes and stuff type vibe. It's a great Highway 61 is it's like torn apart over the decades. That's what this feels like. It's a great version of this. Like a Rolling Stone, just feel majestic and grand and like a statement, and the band's bringing it in. It sounds good, and Dylan's delivering the lyrics like they're fresh and new, and he's excited about them. This performance is just amazing. The Most Likely You Go Your Way, only one we get on here, so it's super fun. It's not a reprise. And then again, Blowing in the Wind, which I'm not sold on. I don't know if I like the electric version of it. I think it would be better as an acoustic. But this, I'm excited. I will listen to this. This is in my rotation. I know that. It's a shorter, starts with All on the Watchtower, so that's kind of cool. Sometimes you only want 45 minutes instead of like a full 75. But the sound is fantastic. The performances are great. It's interesting. Like early in the afternoon, we got all this energy. It's the end of the tour. We got Oakland, then we're going to LA, then we're done. But we gave it all in that first show, and now we're tired. Now we're going to yell. Now things are just a little more rote and routine, and the sound is not as good. Though it'd be interesting if the sound was better in that evening show to see if maybe I liked it more. But the tale of two shows. First show, the afternoon show, I'm like, I feel like I'm hearing these songs for the first time. The evening show, I'm like, oh my gosh, do I really have to listen to a couple more shows? But I'm excited about LA. But anyways, where would I rank these among all the others I've done? I've only listened to each of these shows like 2 times at this point. So these rankings are really snapshot rankings. So don't take them too seriously. But I have that first Oakland show at number 10. Just, it sounds great. It might even be higher. Might be, it's somewhere in that middle part. Not a complete show, so it's got to be penalized a little bit. But it's got some really good stuff. And then that evening show way down at number 23. Nothing really stood out other than like the Hudson Sound and the Maggie's Farm. But yeah, I said my piece on those. So yeah, I have it towards the bottom. Interesting mix. The top, I'm looking at this list, the top 4 of my top shows are all from the early run, the early days. Interesting to see where these LA shows land. But that's all I got. Thanks for watching. Let me know your thoughts on these shows, on this tour, Blowing in the Wind Electric, blah, blah, blah. You know how it goes. Thanks for watching. Subscribe, like, share, comment, and go listen to Dylan. If you don't want to get the box set, there is a sampler. It is free. It was released only on streaming. Check it out. The sampler is fantastic and will give you a really good sense of this tour's highlights. But yeah, I'm done. Peace. Talk to you later.